Hi friends, today we will be making this scarf. This is the very popular granny stitch which I have used in this scarf, and we will be making this scarf. But before we start making, we would understand the calculation of the pattern, so that if you want to change the width to a skinny scarf, or you want to make a shawl, you can easily do that. Now here a granny stitch is actually a cluster of 3 double crochets. So 3 double crochet, if we start making our work with, that's how we start the this scarf in this pattern. So what we'll do is, in the foundation chain we will count how many clusters we need for our work. Let's say in this one I have taken 6 clusters in the basic chain. So 6 into 3, 3 is the number of the stitches which we use in one cluster. So that means 18 stitches I need for these 6 clusters, and plus one stitch at each end. So that means 18 plus 2. So I need 20 chains in my foundation chain for this scarf. Now when you have to make a smaller one, let's say you want to make a skinny scarf with just 3 clusters, so that means 3 into 3, 9 plus 2, so 11. So 11 stitches you need for a skinny scarf. And if you want to make a shawl with, let's say, 20 clusters, so 20 into 3, 60 plus 2, so 62 would be the stitch count. So basic formula is multiple of 3 plus 2 stitches for the ends. So 3 multiple of 3 plus 2, so that would be your foundation chain. Now let's say, to show you this work, what I'll do is I'll take a foundation chain with just 4 clusters. I have taken this yarn where you have the multiple colors in the yarn itself, and it's a worsted weight, so I'm using a 5.5 mm hook in this. Now we will make, for 4 clusters we need 12 chain and 2 for the sides, so we need 14. So this is the 14 chains which we will be using for the scarf. Now when we start our work, we have not counted the first stitch, which will actually be chain 2. So when you make your foundation chain with the formula multiple of 3 plus 2, after that we begin our work. So for the first row, chain 2, and in the 5th chain from the hook, you make 1 double crochet, and in the same hook you make same chain you make 2 more, which means that we make 1 granny cluster in the 5th chain from the hook. Now leave 2 chain. So in this one you made and leave 2, and in the 3rd chain you make 1 more cluster. So which means we make 3 double crochet in the same chain. Again you leave 2, and in the 3rd one we make 3 double crochet. Now again leave 2, and in the 3rd we make 1 more cluster. So 3 double crochet in the same stitch. Now here we get 4 clusters in the first row, and now we are left with 2 stitches. So what we'll do is we leave 1, and in the last chain, we're left with 2 chains. So in the last chain we make 1 more double crochet, and we finish our first row. So we have 4 clusters and 2 stitches in both the ends, one in each end. So now what we'll do is we will chain 2 and turn our work. Now in the row 2, you see we will not have 6 clusters. Here you see we have in this work, like, because this was a 6 cluster work, so in second row you see we have 5 clusters, but we have half cluster on each side. So that's how we complete the 6 clusters in the second row, by making 2 half clusters on the sides and 5 in the middle. So in this case we will have 3 complete clusters in the middle, and we will have 2 half clusters on each end. So how we'll make half cluster is chain 2, turn the work, and in the first gap, this gap, we make 1 double crochet. Now in this gap we make 1 cluster. Which means that in this gap we will be doing 3 double crochet. In the next gap also we do 3 double crochet. Again in the third gap we will be doing another cluster, so 3 double crochet in the same gap. So we have 3 complete clusters now, and we reach the end. So in the end we will, in this gap we will make 1 double crochet, and the chain 2 of the previous row, so in the top chain we will make another double crochet. So now we have 2 half double crochets in the end and 3 complete clusters in the middle. Now we will be actually repeating these 2 rows in the work. So for the third row, chain 2, turn your work, and you see here is your first gap. In this you will be making a complete cluster, because row 3 is a replica of row 1. So you will have the same pattern in row 3. So in this second gap again we make 1 more cluster. Now in the third gap 1 more cluster. And again in the next gap complete cluster. Now again you have this chain 2, and in the top chain we will do 1 double crochet, and that's how. So now the fourth row would be a repeat of row 2. So we chain 2, turn our work, and in this first gap we'll make a 1 double crochet. So now in the second gap we will be making a 1 complete cluster. So 3 double crochet in the gap, and again in the next gap we make 3 double crochet, which is 1 granny cluster. In this gap also we make 1 cluster. So basically this pattern is repeat of row 1 and 2. Now in the last gap also we make 1 double crochet, and we will be making 1 double crochet in the top chain of previous row. So row 1 is repeated in row 3, and 2 is repeated in 4, and Subsequently you can repeat these 2 rows, and your project would be ready. So this was the pattern for granny scarf, and you can use this pattern for making shawl or blanket also. I hope you like the video. Don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe my channel for more interesting videos. Thank you for watching.